Wednesday morning shows. I don't know if we've ever done a Wednesday morning show outside of doing something like Around Your SEC, but nevertheless, we are live. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you are trickling in here. A lot of you forgot that we were going to be live. I did say 9 a.m. It is 9:30. We had to push it back. Just not good at doing these shows in the mornings. Nevertheless, we're live. We got tons and tons of things that we got to get to. I'll give you week 3 picks. Look, 13-7 over the first 2 weeks. I don't think that's bad. It's too bad. Last week, we wind up coming up on top. Thank you to teams like Oklahoma State. So tonight, we'll give you week 3 picks. Or today, this morning, not tonight. See, I'm used to saying tonight. But this morning, we'll give you some week 3 picks for week 3. Is LSU going to beat South Carolina? Which is morally what you probably are all here to listen to. I had a big dilemma last night when I was thinking about this game mentally. So what we're going to do here is this. What we're going to do is we are going to give you our week 3 picks to start off the show here tonight. Thank you for all. Now that the people on the audio can hear us, I might have to fix some things there on the audio, but we'll give you week 3 picks. More than likely, we will not be live tomorrow because of Hurricane Francine, that hoe. So today, instead of doing it on Thursday, we'll give you our keys to victory. Brian Kelly is going to be meeting with the media here in a minute on the SEC teleconference. If anything goes on during that, we will. We will be able to get to that if need be. I'm just checking my text. I thought we had something really bad going on here. But nevertheless, we'll get to keys to victory. We'll get to a recruiting update. Jakeem Stewart, is he going to reclassify? I think that's the big question that everybody wants to know. And I will tell you, I'm not 100% sure of what's going to happen. Do I think he will? Possibly. But the number one player in 2026 in the state of Louisiana and the nation has left St. Augustine, is now at Edna Karr. So we'll talk about that a little bit here tonight too. And at the end of the show, we'll get to all your thoughts, questions, concerns, and we'll get to that as well. Not good on these morning shows, man. Just not good. Let's get to a couple comments before we get rolling. Joseph Austin says 504 via the 337 in here. Wishing y'all do okay during the storm. You too, man. And look, I wouldn't do this if I didn't think that there was a chance that we'd be out of electricity the next couple of days. But it would appear that the studio's in broad sight of Hurricane Francine. Gerald Rhodes says, Blake, I don't care what time the show is. I won't miss. Look at there, Gerald. Okay. Hope y'all holding it down all right where you are. My peeps in Chalmette locking it down. Be safe. The parish. All right, Gerald. Yeah, the parish. Gerald, speaking of that, I'm sure you've frequented this or did frequent this. Best donuts I've ever had was in the parish. Without question, the best donuts was Gerald's in Chalmette. Them things was good, man. By the way, it's not the only not only donuts, man. They had like these biscuits. Man, them things was slapping. Tyler Townsend in the 318 says 318 in here this morning. Good to have you in here. Big J. Cole. Working from home this morning in the 318. Let's get it. Yes, indeed. I think everybody's working from home. Maybe people are sleeping in. Maybe this is a good little, you can sit at home. You can listen to AYS and you can talk about some LSU stuff, some SEC, some college football. But it sucks why we are at home. Justin Thompson says, met you at the gym the other morning. Stay safe, brother, and go Tigers. Well, thank you so much, Justin. Yeah, we work out right here at the Anytime Fitness. Met a couple people. I think Justin was one of them. A couple other people. But, yeah, Justin, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I love when we get to talk to people. I think maybe Justin was the one. He came in there with a LSU sweatshirt on, looked like a team official sweatshirt. And I'm not going to lie to Justin, man. I kind of was like aggravated. I'm like, hey, man, I want some cool stuff like that too. And you know what he told me? Academy, Sports and Outdoors. Academy. Got a nice sweatshirt, LSU official sweatshirt. So, Justin, if that is you, Thank you so much for joining us, man. Glad that you're in here with us. Black Ice, a.k.a. Big Pressure, in the building says, my confidence in this team has been shaken. So here's what I'll tell you, Pressure, for me. Did he say maybe not my confidence in this team has been shaken? So let me tell you, I've said this all week, and I will continue to say this here today when we go to Keys to Victory and things that you have to do. I am as nervous as a cat in Springfield, Ohio. Look, I know that that's probably a bad political thing to say, but you understand the joke that I'm trying to make. That's how nervous I am right now. I am as nervous as a cat in Springfield, Ohio. I mean, I got the bubble guts, and it's not, we're only in Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning. But I don't have massive amounts of confidence at the current moment, and it's not due to on the field completely. I mean, guys, there's no telling what happens, after today, in reference to this game. Like you got a lot of adversity that you got to overcome. And by the way, you got adversity that you have to overcome when you go to South Carolina. There's supposed to be thunderstorms, heavy rain. That does not bode well for you. And I'll say this too. I said this last night. We did a recorded episode for Ruffino and Joe show after the show last night with AYS. And I said this in our South Carolina and LSU matchup. If LSU pulls this game out with the adversity that they will be met with this week, this will be like a ranked win for me. Like, in 10 years, 5 years, we'll look at this and say, oh, well, Blake, they beat a maybe 7-5, maybe 8-4, maybe even 6-6 South Carolina, but it won't go down as like a ranked win. And I'm going to tell you, man, if Brian Kelly takes his team to Columbia based off of everything that's going on this week, it's going to be a big victory. It's going to be a very big victory. So in what may be the biggest game in the Brian Kelly era when it comes to must-win situations, LSU's got to win this football game. So for me, with everything that's going on, if you go up there and do it, I'm going to consider it like that. Paul, our good buddy, says zebra cakes, donuts, biscuits, come on, bro, red beans and rice, respect your body. Also, SC almost lost to Old Dominion. If SC doesn't score 40, they're in trouble. So he came with some hurricane snacks here. Not hurricane snacks, but he did in the beginning with zebra cakes. Yeah, zebra cakes are the elite hurricane snack. But he talked about some Parrish. He says, come on, bro, with all that stuff. I'm just telling you, respect your body. He's right. Respect your body. By the way, 60 pounds down, man. Carnivore. I'm telling you, all of y'all need to get on to that. Jeff, I'm not reading your comment. I shouldn't have made a political joke, but I'm not getting into that. Father Abear says, I woke up at 9 a.m., no alarm. That was crazy. Flipped on the TV and AYS. Good morning. Good morning. Father Abear, good to have you in here with us as well. Alton Johnson says, how do you feel about Jones coming out of the presser about the run game? I don't feel good about it at all, to be honest with you. I don't feel good about it at all. Not at all. Rick says, things are never as bad as they seem and never as good as they seem, Blake. True that. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. No doubt. Rob Boudreaux says, good morning to you, sir, as well. Black Ice says, Spectrum, they couldn't dominate Nickel State. Oh, so Spectrum, they couldn't dominate Nickel State, but magically they go dominate SC. I mean, for what it's worth, I never said, if you're talking about the Emory Jones thing, I don't think they're dominating them up front. But I think that there's other things that we've talked about this week that prevented them from running the football against Nichols. Guys, again, you got 9 dudes, 10 yards from the box. Or 10 yards from the ball, excuse me. That's never good. I'm about to take a sip of coffee, and let me say this. I know a lot of you watch our good friend Josh Pate. Do not show him the cup that I'm about to drink this coffee out of. Do not send that to him. Do not clip it. Do not send it to him. You know? By the way, Ben did take a massive you-know-what in a Buc-ee's in Auburn. I'm just going to throw that out there. Buc-ee's could have done the right thing. All right. Let's get to it. Paul says, stay on the carnivore, Dr. Ken Berry. Yes, I watch Dr. Ken Berry a lot on YouTube. He is phenomenal. 60 pounds down is a big deal. Proud of you, my friend. Yeah, 60 pounds down, man. How about that? How about that? And it's everybody's like, what are you going to do during the hurricane? I'm like, exactly what I've been doing. Got the griddle ready to go. My wife cleaned the griddle. It wasn't really that bad. We hadn't used it in a couple weeks, maybe month. So we're ready to go, man. Your boy's ready to go. Zeus says, I'm using that same cup this morning. Yeah, look. Again, don't send this to Pate, man. Don't do it. Buc-ee's for the win. They got an amazing mug here. Paul's Hub says, hail to the Beaver. I mean, I say hail to the Beaver, but in a lot different context is what probably that we're doing here. But you're right. Hail to the Beaver. Hail to the Beaver. Golden Boot says they're definitely doing that to clip it. Oh, they're definitely going to clip it, Pooh. They're definitely going to clip it and send it to him. Now I have 4 messages right now on Twitter. Go figure. All right. Lots and lots we got to get to. Let's get to it here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. We're going to come back, talk about our keys to victory versus South Carolina. We'll give you our week 3 picks. Jakeem Stewart, is he going to reclassify? We'll talk about that here today. And then at the end, we'll get to all your thoughts, questions, concerns. It's a hurricane show, man. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let's get to it, man. We got lots and lots we need to get to. So I know it's not a typical week, and we're doing things a little bit earlier this week that normally we wouldn't do. So this morning, we're going to go through our keys to victory just in case we are unable to get to a show tomorrow, even though I hope that we could. Maybe we can. I don't know. But in case that we can't, we're going to get to our keys to victory here today, LSU versus South Carolina. Just in case that this is your first time listening to us, these are in no specific order. These are just my non-negotiables going into this game The 5 things that LSU must do to beat South Carolina on Saturday. Number 1, make Lenore Sellers, the South Carolina quarterback, beat you through the air. Look, we talked about last night. Sellers against Old Dominion was 10 of 23, was highly inefficient at throwing the football, did a really good job at running the football, but I would rather make him one-dimensional, meaning I don't know if I don't come out in the game, stacking the box, getting up close to the line of scrimmage, and stopping Lenore Sellers from running the football and Rocket Sanders from running the football. I don't know if you make Lenore Sellers drop back 30 times that he can beat you and winning a game. We have not seen him be able to sit in the pocket and win a game from there. Now, there were times last week versus Kentucky where he made some explosive plays. He made the right reads on blown coverages against Kentucky, but he has been very inconsistent. You know, the 11 for 15 that he was against Kentucky last week, even though he had 2 touchdowns, there were massive stretches in the game where he was highly inconsistent. He got bailed out by a couple of pass interference penalties from Kentucky, and therefore I think that if you get into a situation where you stack the line of scrimmage and you make him one-dimensional and make them one-dimensional, it could benefit in your favor. I don't know how good they are at receiver. I think that they're tight end. I think that they do have some playmakers out there. You know, their tight end last week in a blown coverage scored a touchdown. They are big and physical out wide. What do they do with Nick Harbor if he even gets in the game? He has been very ineffective over the last 2 weeks. But I look at South Carolina, and if we come out, or I say we, but if LSU comes out with a victory on Saturday, I think it mainly looks like, to some extent, stay with me, what Kentucky did to them defensively a week ago. You know, I look at South Carolina, like last week, guys, they only had 86 yards rushing. They were not very effective at most times running the football. But what happened? Lenore Sellers extended the play. He hit some big passes when blown coverages were happening. But mainly, a lot of the game last week from South Carolina versus Kentucky had a lot to do with the field position that Kentucky was giving South Carolina over and over and over and over again. The multiple turnovers that Kentucky had, the bad punts that they had, those were the things. 9 of the 11 possessions that Kentucky had last week were punts. 9 of the 11 were punts or turnovers. Actually, only 2 turnovers at the end of the game, but the other ones were punts. Then they had 2 field goals in there too. I just think that if you come away in this game and Lenore Sellers goes 20 of 30 for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, you tip your cap and say, good job, man. And obviously your safety room, your corner room would have had a bad game, and Lenore Sellers showed more of what he can be as a passer. But I think that that's what you ultimately have to do. It's honestly what I think you did 2 years ago. If Brian Kelly wants to use the analogy on Lenore Sellers being Anthony Richardson, which, like I told you this week, I did not like that comparison. But the more I looked at it, I could see what he was saying. You got to be able to make him beat you through the air. I didn't put this at number 1 as like, I didn't put this in my keys to victory, but I'm gonna add this in here. Your linebacker room has got to have the best game that they've had this season, and that does include Perk. You know, we had a question earlier in the chat, Blake. What do you do with Perkins? Do you move him to star? And look, here's what I would say at the current moment. I don't want to overreact, and glad that they're not overreacting so far this season, especially Blake Baker. Here's what I would say. Last week, they were very vanilla. They did not do anything that they did with Perkins that they did the week before against USC. I thought Perk, outside of a handful of plays against USC, was pretty disruptive. You know, you remember the tackle for loss that he had in the backfield against USC that forced a punt. He was disruptive at times in the passing game because they keyed on him so much, multiple times that he got double teamed. I'm personally, now this can come back and backfire on me. I am personally not ready to move away from Perk being at the position that he is. I just think that they were so vanilla last week that it hurt them. I don't think that they're going to be vanilla this week. And we'll talk about why I don't think that they're going to be vanilla, because Blake Baker went against South Carolina last year and was highly aggressive against Dale Loggins and that South Carolina team, which leads me into number 2. So that was our number 1. Here's our number 2. I think that you got to send ungodly amount of pressure. So I just mentioned, look, Blake Baker went against South Carolina last year against Missouri. And I went back last night and rewatched that game. Missouri gave up 269 total yards, and I understand that this is a completely different team for South Carolina, completely different style, but it doesn't stop what I think that they need to do. Blake sent a lot of pressure after South Carolina and really put a lot of strain on their offensive line and put a lot of strain on their wide receivers to make plays that they could not do. Spencer Rattler was very ineffective. I thought he played a really good game, but he just didn't have a lot of help around him. Last year was something that I thought was interesting. I marked down and went back and checked. I had them going 3 of 14 on third down, and that really propelled them. And it's something that we got to talk about. Look, man, you got to get off the field on third down. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. But last year, Blake Baker his Missouri defense had 5 sacks in the game versus South Carolina. I know that South Carolina wants to come out and run the ball right at you, but if anything of last week is of note, they are going to throw the football around a little bit. They're not going to be they're not going to Les Miles one-dimensional type of deal here. They will throw the football around. And what we saw the last 2 weeks from Lenore Sellers, I don't think that he understands pressure pickups. You know, I think that what's happened and what happens to kids, and Jane Daniels talked about this a little bit, whether it is Jaden, whether it's Lamar, whoever the quarterback is, you know, even Josh Allen talked about this. Like, they asked Josh Allen a couple of years ago, what's the biggest thing that you had to learn in the NFL? And he's more of a mobile guy. And he says, guys, I had to learn a lot more about how blitzes need to be picked up, hot routes, things like that. These mobile guys, that is something that they have not had a lot of experience in, because they have always felt like they can get away from pressure and be athletic, and which a lot of them can, and we've seen them do it. I just think that over time and what we've seen the last 2 weeks of Lenore Sellers, I think that you can, I don't want to say easily confuse him as a young quarterback, but I think that you can. You know, Kentucky confused him a lot last week. I think that Blake Baker is very aggressive, but while being aggressive, is very difficult to game plan for because of how they like to do things. I think something that will be very interesting in the passing game versus South Carolina is just how Blake Baker schemes things up to get after Lenore Sellers. And when you get there, not if, when you get to Lenore Sellers, because you're going to put pressure on him, you got to bring him down. Guys, he is a big-bodied, but a big-bodied quarterback that does have a really good arm from a power standpoint. When you get there, you got to rally. You got to rally. And here's another thing. When you're sending that ungodly pressure, you know, when we talk about containment and we talk about dual threat guys, you know, something that people didn't do against Jane Daniels well last year was when the guys would come off the edge, they would run right past him and Jaden would just step up and run. You can't do that against Lenore Sellers. You got to be even with the quarterback when you're rushing to contain him and get after him. Push the pocket in. Here's what I'm going to say, too, about this ungodly pressure. Sean Washington has to have a massive game. Not only in the run game, but he's got to have a big presence in forcing Lenore Sellers to make quick decisions, because when he gets internal pressure, he's going to have to fire the ball in all different directions. Sean Washington, if you remember during practice reports, there was the last practice that we all went to. Sean Washington absolutely destroyed your interior offensive line. It was how he led the show off. So many, I think 3 or 4 Thursdays ago that Sean Washington came out, guns blazing, uppercutting everybody, just going after this interior offensive line. Had 4 total tackles for loss in that practice, and then had a really good game last week against Nichols. His impact in that interior is going to be something that we're going to have to see work very early in this game, and getting the ball out quickly for Lenore Sellers, make him make quick decisions, and when he does, he has not been highly accurate. So send ungodly pressure. Blake has gone against this offense before. I know it's a lot different from Rattler to Sellers, but 5 sacks last year for Missouri. I think that they're going to do a lot of the same stuff that they did a year ago. Number 3, guys, listen, I can't emphasize this enough. And I know that Emory Jones came out and said yesterday in player interviews that they're going to run the football effectively this week versus South Carolina, and that they have a really good challenge, but they want to run the football. I don't care what the young man says. I really and honestly could care less about what he says, because none of that's true unless you do this first, this number 3 first, to back teams off of you. I'm going to continue to say it. Said it when we talked about the USC preview. Talked about it this past week against Nichols. It was actually my number 1 key to victory last week when we talked about Nichols, which you didn't accomplish really, and you still won because you're just the overall better team. You're going to have to come out guns blazing throwing the football. If you have the situation to do that, if it's the weather's holding off and it's good enough to where you can do it, you're going to have to come out guns blazing. You got to. This is what teams will continue to do to you if you're not careful. Teams are going to continue to stack the box against you because they know that you want to run the football. LSU, Brian Kelly, players, Joe Sloan, everybody has made a big deal that LSU wants to line up and run the football. I don't give 2 Rudy Poos what you think you want to do until you make the adjustment of wanting to sling the rock all over the place and backing teams off of you. You are not going to have the success that you want to have in the running game. I talked about this on Monday. I'm going to talk about this again today, because you have even though it's technically not the box, there are 9 guys multiple times throughout the Nichols game that are 10 yards or less away from the football. Guys, you have 6 guys blocking 9. Want to know why that you're not having success in the running game? 6 versus 9 is a mismatch. It's a mismatch. And I don't care if you're playing Nichols State, Rudy Poo State, Dookie Water Tech, as I'm going to make this one because our buddy Sean Anderson's in here helping me produce. I don't care if you're playing Rhode Island. If you have that many guys in the box, you are going to get your shit pushed in. Again, Rudy Poo Tech, Dookie Water State, Southeastern or Nichols or Rhode Island. I don't give 2 Rudy Poos who it is. You got to come out here guns blazing, throwing shots. And if you don't, you're not going to have success. Guys, you could have potentially 2 of the best offensive linemen at tackle in the country. None of that makes any difference to me of how good you are. Like last week, even against USC, Will Campbell is snapping necks and cashing checks like it's the Catalina wine mixer, but it doesn't matter when that many guys are up to the line of scrimmage. Again, I showed you the photo on Monday. I'll show you again. You can't be that condensed. And it's why I've been so aggravated with Joe Sloan. I say aggravated with Joe Sloan, but aggravated in the philosophy and schematical errors that they've done in the running game. Look, I think Joe is a bright offensive coordinator. Really, I do. I don't know how much of experience he has in running game. You know, you have a passing game coordinator in Cortez Hankton. I just don't know if Brad Davis and Brian Kelly don't need to be the voices of what you're doing in the running game, even based off of formations. If Joe wants to run the football, he's got to spread dudes out. You got to be in situations where I'll give you an example. You got to do what Tennessee's doing, which, by the way, throwing this out there, I don't know if you watched Tennessee last week versus NC State. Guys, Lance Hurd is killing human beings. And which brings me to a point that we talked about Monday and Saturday as well in the postgame. Like, could you have imagined Lance Hurd at right tackle or tackle Emory Jones into guard? Guys, there's a lot of video on Twitter of Lance Hurd last week. Guys, he on one drive, this is one drive, he had 3 pancakes. And I'm not talking about IHOP. He was, speaking of snapping necks and cashing checks, it's the Catalina wine mixer. Lance Hurd was probably one of the best offensive linemen in the country last week. But what does Tennessee do? To the point that I was trying to make, what do they do effectively? They spread you out and run the football with a guy who, quite honestly, at running back should be here, Dylan Sampson. You got to get numbers out of the box. And if you're going to bring guys into the box, you got to run the ball outside and make them track you down. Guys, it's as simple as that. You want to know why you're not having success? Guys, that's why you're not having success. I don't think it's a personnel issue. I think it's a massive schematical issue. And I say massive. Very massive. So number 3, come out guns blazing, back them off of you. Get them off of you at the line of scrimmage. Make them play deep coverage. The status of Chris Hilton is going to be massive here. I don't know. I'm assuming Brian Kelly will be meeting with the media here in just a moment. He'll be on the SEC teleconference. So we'll get to that on some things that he says here in just a moment. But man, I tell you this, I'm going to use this analogy one more time. It's like a boxing match, man. It's like Mike Tyson going against Muhammad Ali. If that fight were to ever happen, which it never would have, but if it ever did, Mike Tyson always wanted to get inside, uppercut, hit you to the body, hooks. He wants to fight you in a phone booth. What did Muhammad want to do? He wanted to jab. He wanted to keep his distance. And then once you started backing off of him and you couldn't get close to him, then he started going with ungodly pressure. You got to take smart shots at them to back them off of you. You guys, it's not a request. It's a must. It's a must. Like that if there is a non-negotiable. That is a non-negotiable. You're not a team that right now at the current moment, like, let me say this. There are things that you can do along your offensive line. Like, for example, wedge blocking. So what is wedge blocking? Your entire offensive line in zone blocking schemes being hit the hip and just pushing people. Screw schematics. Screw everything else. What we used to call wedge blocking was snap the ball, run to the play side, and just push people. Teams that do that have really elite guys in the interior. It's what Brian Kelly did at Notre Dame when he had guys like Quentin Nelson. But you have tackles, and you're limiting your exposure to your tackles when you're bringing everybody in a bunch formation and trying to run the football. Guys, it's ass backwards or bass backwards. Well, I guess it doesn't matter now because I already said it. Number 3 on coming out guns blazing in the run game is a big deal. What is the status of Chris Hilton? And when you come out guns blazing, you know what else that does? If you're successful in doing it, it limits that crowd noise. Get them cocks down a little bit. Get the cock fans down a little bit. Boy, that's going to get clipped. Blake Ruffino out of context. That needs to be a Twitter profile. All right. Number 4. Guys, we talked about this in just a moment ago, but let's expand on this. You got to get off the field on third down. Here's the philosophy for every single game that South Carolina is going to go in. They want to run the football. They want to get you in 3rd and 5 or less situations. And then they want to run the football again. They are not guys, South Carolina might be, from an X's and O's standpoint, one of the more simpler teams that you're going to face in the SEC. Because what do? They're going to line up. They're going to do zone reads. They're going to go run QB power. They're going to run power with Rocket Sanders. They're going to run buck sweep. They're going to run buck sweep with a zone read behind it to keep that defensive end at bay and keep him disciplined. But their goal is 3 yards in a cloud of dust, getting the first down on third down in 3rd and short minimal situations, and keep moving the chains. They have no problem. Loggins, Beamer, they have no problem doing 15, 16, 17 play drives. They will do it. We get lost in today's world and in today's society of football when we talk about like flashy wins. Like, for example, Texas last week, come out, throwing it all over the place with Quinn Ewers. Boop, 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 boop. Cam Ward coming out against Florida. Boom, 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 boom. Throwing that thing like it's hot rolls at what's that place in Gulf Shores? What's guys in the chat? What's that place in Gulf Shores, Alabama? The play Lambert's or whatever where they're throwing rolls. That was Cam Ward. Pop, 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 pop. What have the last 3 national championship teams done? They're gonna line up and run the ball right at you. They're gonna run the ball right at you. All right, Paul Sub says it's Lambert's, but it's in Foley. You know what I was talking about. Well, I can go for some rolls right now. Speaking of carnivore diet, I could really go for some rolls right now. Can't do it. Teams that can line up and run the ball right at you and continue to get first downs will beat you 9 times out of 10. It's not flashy. It doesn't look good. Nobody cares about it. But last week, as an example, that was the biggest 86 yards that South Carolina ever had. I mean, they just third down, line it up, run it. 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 Now, they weren't effective last week because Kentucky could get off the field, but it's what they want to do. Last year, Blake Baker was 3 of 14 on third down against South Carolina. He's had some experience with them. He's going to have to utilize that this week. He's going to have to utilize everything that's in his toolbox. Guys, this is the problem that I have with being conservative last week. Because let me throw this at you. If you would have been ultra aggressive last week versus Nichols, you could have really worked on some things and done some things that maybe are not, if this guy doesn't do this well, maybe you could get some different personnel in there. But you have no experience on more things that you want to run with Blake Baker this week and how you want to stop the run. Guys, the front seven's got to be big here. Now, Jacoby and Guillory is out, but the key player in this game is Sean Washington. Harold Perkins, Greg Penn. This game is actually tailored to Greg Penn, if we're being honest. How does he respond? You need your leader on defense, number 18, to come out here and dominate. Because I'm telling you, man, they're going to run the football right at you. So we'll see. All right, number 5, last but not least. When you think of the Beamer family in college football, what do you think about? Now, some of you will say Virginia Tech. You'll say about all the great teams that they had, maybe Michael Vick, whatever it may be. You know what I think about? Special teams. And we never talk about special teams. On this show, we hardly ever talk about special teams. You better be ready at any given moment for any single thing that they're going to do. Like, you know what I think about South Carolina? Something that I would like let me give an example. Like to start off the game, I wouldn't be surprised if they had an onside kick to start the game off. It would not shock me in the slightest if they start a game off, if they defer, like if they win the toss and they defer to the second half, them coming right out and having an onside kick. Because Shane Beamer in special teams is like duck in water, man. They're really good on special teams. Actually, they're phenomenal on special teams. So was his dad. Guys block punts, block kicks, punt return, anything that revolves kickoff return, everything that they do on special teams is going to be Shane Beamer's baby, and that's why they've been top 10 in special teams everywhere that Shane Beamer's gone over the last 6 years. In the top 10. Be highly cautious on every single thing that they do. I'm really playing this thing safe, and I'm telling Xavion Thomas, listen, this might not be the game that you get a lot of return yards unless you can make something happen, but we need to make sure that we get off the field on fourth down. Guys, I have a sneaky feeling inside my bones, like I'm Bruno Mars, that they're going to do something that on special teams that is going to trick you. You have to be aware of every little thing that they do. You know, it's funny. The last time we played South Carolina in Death Valley, if I'm not mistaken, the Leonard Fournette thing or Leonard Fournette game. But remember, wasn't it 2011, maybe 2000? I forget the Colt David. You remember Les came out there, a trick play? No, it was 07, wasn't it? With Matt Flynn, Colt David, they did the behind the pass thing, and Colt David scored a touchdown. Special teams, man. Special teams. So, yeah. So 1 through 5, Lenore Sellers, make them beat you through the air. 2, send ungodly pressure. 3, come out guns blazing. Back teams off of you. 4, get off the field on third down. South Carolina was 3 of 10 last week on third down. Kentucky really got off the field. Their offense was so ass that the Kardashians loved them. And number 5, you got to be alarmed on special teams. So that's our keys to victory here versus South Carolina. All right. We got a super chat up in this thing. Okay. Jackson Carney says, love the AM version of AYS. Stay safe from the 504. Thank you, Jackson. Yeah, I mean, look, we're not changing. We're not changing our times. We're still going to be going at night. The only reason is that the storm's supposed to be hitting here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when we go live. I just want to get the show in. This could be our last weekday show. So I know people love it, but I'm not a massive fan of it. Humbug says, even tuned in at work, true AYS fan. Thank you, Humbug. Thank you. Jackson says, didn't Lance basically demand to be a left tackle? Inmates can't run the asylum. I don't like using that language at the end there. I mean, look, I think that there were a couple things that happened here, man. I think that, how do I want to say this? Here's what I think. Actually, it's not what I think. It's what I kind of know. I think before Austin Thomas got here, I think that you had stay with me on this. I'm going to tell you something without telling you something. I think that things were unorganized in NIL. It's not that you didn't have money. It's that you had massive unorganization and how you did things. And so what? If he then goes somewhere else. But it's your job to hold on to a player like that. It's your job to hold on to a player like Lance Hurd. I'm just going to say this again. Go watch him. Go watch him. You need him right now. And here's the truth that I want to say. I don't think Miles Frazier is a bad player. I don't think Garrett Dellinger is a bad player. Neither one of them are Lance Hurd. And I would have, after you lost to Ole Miss, I would have moved Lance Hurd to right tackle and Emory Jones into guard. And I would have played him the rest of the season. I pretty much ended at that all year last year. I don't like saying players should be benched. Like, if you come to any post game, like, I'm going to defend a player and I'm going to make you tell me why he should be benched. I think if you would have benched either one of your guards for Lance Hurd, I wouldn't have minded. Here's another thing. I hate that they put Tyree Adams at guard last week. I hated every single thing about it. Everything about it. There's not one thing that let me say this. It was unlogical to move a tackle in the left guard when he's never played that position. I know that you want him to be your swing guy. I know that you want to make him the guy that comes in if you have an injury. It's dumb. It was dumb. I'm just going to call it what it is. Garrett Dellinger go down and Tyree Adams moving to guard is dumb. Move Emory Jones to guard. It's dumb. Guys, he's going to be a guard at the next level. He's going to be a guard at the next level. Tyree Adams is not built to be inside. He's a 6'7", 320-pound right tackle. He's Zach Strief. I didn't think we'd be pulling Zach Strief up in here. But he's not built for guard. You know, the only guy that I ever, which by the way, I had a pretty good, really decent relationship with this guy. The only guy that it was 6'6" and above that I saw that played in the inside that was worth a shit, that was 6'6" and above, was Herman Johnson. And Herman was not built to be a tackle. He wasn't built to be a tackle. Can't use it, man. Can't do it. Can't do it. All right. Let's see here. Spectrum Wellcare, I agree with this. He says, JVR Suggs needs to show up. You're so right, brother. 1,000%. Chad says, couldn't they use Watkins to stretch the field? Jelani Watkins has been a little beat up. Yeah, but to your point, yeah, they could. Yeah, they could. Look, man, you got to use somebody. Guys, if you can't stretch the field, you're not going to win football games. It's just not going to happen. Lawrence says, also, if Old Dominion doesn't turn the ball over twice at the 5-yard line, we're having a completely different conversation. Here's the thing, though, and I agree. I agree with that. I agree that they had a rough game against Old Dominion. But, man, they came out the next week and destroyed Kentucky. So as bad as they were in one and as dominant as they were in the other, I don't like using transitive property in that type of situation. What I do agree with is that they forced those turnovers. They forced those turnovers. It's not like it was just given to them. And I'm going to tell you, man, that D-line is good for South Carolina. They're good. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back. I'll give you my week 3 picks. Your boy leading Joe DeLeon right now. I'm 13-7. Joe is 9-9. I hope he hears me saying this. But we're going to come back, give you our week 3 picks. I'm going to come back, and after that, we'll talk about Jakeem Stewart. Is he going to reclassify? What's going on with that? So stay with us. We'll wrap the show up with that. Be right back. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
I greatly apologize for not leading the show off with this, but was just quickly reminded. Today is September 11th. And listen, I'm going to say this. I don't care about your political beliefs. I don't care who you're voting for. I could give two outright Rudy Poos who you back, what you believe, what God you serve, any of that. That's up to you. You have your own right and liberty to believe and do whatever you want. Here's what I'll say, though. In 2001, our country was hit with something absolutely catastrophic. Terrorists came into this country and did something that was so heinous that we went into a war for 2 decades over. I don't know how you feel, but this is how I feel. And you can disagree with me if you'd like. And if you do, shame on you on this part. I love this country. I love everything about it. I think we are the best country in the world, and I think that our liberty should always be protected, and it should always be on our minds. God, you know, we talk about this in football all the time. God, country, family, football. To all those people that lost loved ones on that day, I am so sorry, man, and we are thinking of you. To all those troops that served and lost their lives during the war in Afghanistan, we don't forget you. You know, I see guys on Twitter, which made me think of this, and I'm so sorry I didn't lead the show off with this. I mean, how many people do you know that have served in the military and fought in Afghanistan or Iraq and laid, guys, as someone who in my career was a part of service, not military, but cops, first responders, military. When you put your life on the line You are risking and willing to take and pay the ultimate sacrifice for peace and sanity in your country. All those people in the military, man, we're behind you. All those people that lost loved ones on the state, we're behind you. We're praying for you. Thank you is the ultimate thing. People should not have to pay the ultimate price because somebody wants land or more money. Or what in this case is religion. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but when you start hurting others and doing stuff to others, as the great Toby Keith once said, we'll put a boot in your ass because it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam put your name on the top of his list, and Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist. And an eagle will rise, and it's going to be hell. When you see Mother Freedom starting ringing that bell, go ahead and play with America if you want to. But I tell you this all the time, like this is my most treasured possession right here in the studio. These little prisoner of war pendants that my grandfather got in World War II. All right, let's get to week 3 picks before we get out of here. So we have 10 games. Last week we were 6-4. Week 1 we were 7-3, 13-7 overall this season. Not too great, not too bad. But here are the games that we're picking. I'm going to leave LSU until last. Georgia over Kentucky. I think that it's going to be an outright splattering. I think Kentucky's going to get pants and get patty smacked and paddled like they're a kid in middle school. Give me Georgia. Also give me Georgia in the points. Kansas State over Arizona. Arizona really struggled last week versus Northern Arizona. And I think that Kansas State played a really good Tulane team. And I think that they were in a dogfight and in a battle. They're coming home. They're 7.5 point favorite. I don't know if I'm going to take the points there, but I'm going to take the home team in this one. Give me Kansas State. But Noah Fafita and McMillan, the wide receiver, are really good. If Arizona upsets them, it's going to be because those two guys had a really good game. By the way, Conley, their running back. Tulane ran all over Kansas State last week. Arizona might be able to run the football here a little bit, so we'll see. Bama goes to Madison and to play Wisconsin. Guys, Tyler Van Dyke sucks. Don't tell Joe I said that. He sucks. Bama big. Missouri takes on Boston College. Give me Mizzou. Look, Mizzou has not given up any points the last 2 weeks. And look, you can come out here and say, well, Blake, they haven't played anyone. Okay, well, that's fair. Well, you know what? Last week you played Nichols and gave up 21. You know what it's telling me? Drinkwitz has got that team locked, loaded, and ready to go. I think they show out this week against Boston College. I do think that Florida State's a bad team, and which makes Boston College a little bit get that little push in here. They are a ranked opponent. Castellanos, the Boston College quarterback's really good. They got a really good 1-2 punch with Trayshawn Ward and Robichaux at running back. I just don't think they have enough to beat Mizzou and to go into Como. Give me the Tigers. Oregon versus Oregon State. Hold on. I got something for you. My spookiest game of the week is Oregon versus Oregon State. I don't know if Oregon can stop the run right now. And when I look at Oregon State and what they've done the last couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks, actually, they had a game in week 1 where they ran for 400 yards. And if you're an offensive lineman or a former one, you know this. When you run the ball for 400 yards on anybody, you pants them and smack that ass. You clapping them cheeks all up and down the field. I think Oregon's up on upset alert. I am going to take them to win because I need Oregon State in a year 1 under a new head coach to see them win. But, man, Jan Griffin and Anthony Hankerson really have been running the football at a high clip for Oregon State. If Oregon can't stop the run versus Boise State, what can a P4 opponent do? You know, I don't know. I do think Oregon could be an upset alert, but I'm going to go ahead and take them. Let's run through a couple of these. I'm going to take Oklahoma over Tulane, Ole Miss over Wake Forest, and Arizona State over Texas State. And then the last game that we have here, Florida versus Texas A&M. I have no idea how this game is going to play out, Florida versus A&M. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm going to take Florida to win. I'm going to take Florida to cover. I have zero faith in it. I'm not going to bet it. And if A&M beats the dog crap out of Florida, I'll just live with it. I'll live with it. All right. Brett B says, Blake, I'm not worried about that sorry-ass program in South Carolina. Okay, that shows me that you have not watched any football this year. They have no offense. The QB is big and can run, but can't throw the ball. He was 11 of 15 last week with 2 passing touchdowns. By the way, you can't run the ball either. You better be careful by saying, by the way, there's going to be thunderstorms. If you get in a situation where it's a big time rain game and you can't run the football, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. All right, let's wrap it up with this. Jakeem Stewart, the number 1 player in 2026, who a lot of people have been thinking that he is going to reclassify, left his high school at St. Aug and is now at Edna Carr. And it's a big deal because a lot of people are asking if he is going to reclassify, what's he going to do? Here's what I'm going to say. I think the fact that Jakeem Stewart is no longer at St. Aug and is still at Edna Carr benefits LSU greatly. I think of, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this, of any recruit in Louisiana that has been coming up in Louisiana under the Brian Kelly era has had no bigger significance than Jakeem Stewart. None. And I think that he can reclassify. I don't think that there'd be a problem if he does reclassify. And I think that I think you sit in a really good spot at the current moment. The fact that the kid left and didn't go to a place like IMG, I think is a big deal. And I think that Frank Wilson is Frank Wilson. So if there is a big recruiting update and him leaving St. Aug, we'll see. The only other thing in this is that USC is also heavily in this mix. And Coach Henderson, who is the defensive line coach at USC, also went to Carr. However, I'm going to need to see USC come in here and take Jakeem Stewart from you before I got to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel relatively confident at this exact moment. Can things change? Yes. Paul Zell Martin says A&M lost 10 straight road games. It's Elko's, or he says Elmo's, but he means Elko. It's Elmo's first road game in the SEC. Give me Billy and the Gators. Look, man, Billy and them are backed into a corner. They're backed into a corner. Man, I hope Florida wins because I am going to troll the dog manure at A&M. Going to be a tough game. Very, very, very tough game. All right, we got through it. Glad that we were able to get through 3 shows this week before Hurricane Francine rolls off in here. Listen, be careful this week. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. I hope that this thing just blows past us and there's not really anything that happened. I'm going to do everything we can. If there's one thing that I'll tell you, I'm going to do everything I can to be on a post game on Saturday. So come hell or high water, we're going to do every single thing that we can to be here on Saturday night or Saturday after the game, no matter what. So y'all stay safe, be good, and I hope all of you are okay during the storm. Last one, Kedrick, Washington says, Blake, would you take the under in the Oregon game? Yes. I don't know what it is. Yes. Yes, I would. I think Oregon State's going to be able to run the ball on them. I really, really do. All right, we'll see y'all soon, hopefully. Y'all be safe out there, man. Have a good one. Peace.